Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. I'm recording this pretty much on the eve of the end of 2025. After my stream, and before, which ended around 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and before I go out for dinner for a bit of a New Year's uh, dinner with some family and friends. Uh, but I wanted to sort of record this little casual video. Not sure if I'll even edit it at all. There might be some stumbling around, but you guys are used to that by now. Uh, I wanted to kind of record a bit of a recap with some of the best and most important stuff I've experienced in 2025. It's been a great year for media, and I didn't necessarily expect it to be for some reason. 2024 was such a big hitter with so many releases that I really appreciated and expected to appreciate, the likes of Yakuza, Infinite Wealth, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, some other games, some other anime. Um, uh, and so I don't necessarily think that I expected 2025 to be as hard hitting, but it really was. It competed with 2024 and 2023 and 2022 and maybe even surpassed them with lots of sleeper hits and surprises that I was delighted about, honestly, really delighted about. So I just kind of want to. I made a Twitter thread. You can follow me on Twitter, where every time I finished a new piece of media, I added it to this thread and gave a short review or a quick thought or something. And I'm going to be using that as reference. Going to be looking at my phone and kind of going through it. I'm not going to mention every single thing I did, but I'm going to mention, some of the most important, I guess. This isn't exclusive. There might be one or two I missed that are really important, but just whatever strikes me. But before I do, there are some that are not in this thread that I want to acknowledge because I haven't finished them. And those couple would be One Piece. One Piece would be the first one, pretty much the Elbaf arc, which is shaping up to be one of the best in the series, with maybe the best supporting cast of characters that recontextualizes the story, it seems like, every 5 chapters or so. Elbaf has been spectacular. You can join or check out the streams, the stream VODs on Patreon, or you could join the streams if you're interested and seeing my journey through that. But TLDR, it's been such a joy, and it's not on this media thread because I caught up to One Piece last year, and I haven't finished it. It's not completed, and it won't be for ages. But One Piece has been a huge highlight this year. Another one would be Kagurabachi. I actually started getting into Kagurabachi this past year. I'm nearly caught up, not quite, but so it's not in my media thread. But I wanted just to acknowledge it because it has been such a joy. It's been such a just fantastic experience to share my experience with it, to see how the story evolves, to see the different arcs, see where it's gotten inspiration from, but also how Hokuzono makes it its own thing. And it's all culminated with one of my favorite shonen arcs ever in the oh God, sorry. Okay, I need to just check what it's called. Just Swordbearer Assassinations Arc, I believe, is what it's called. Right. There are a lot of different names for it. I just wanted to make sure I had the right one. Swordbearer Assassination Arc, utterly fantastic. And Kagurabachi, utterly fantastic and a highlight of this year for sure. I will be streaming my reactions to it until the end, until it's finished, and I can't wait for more. And I think lastly would be Akane Banashi, which has been one of my favorite stories for the past few years. I'd like to think of myself as one of the people who push it, push it really hard in the community. I always will gush about it when given any opportunity. It's fantastic. It's utterly and completely shonen. It's such a celebration of storytelling and performance and art, while also having a big shonen spirit to it. So I love Akane Banashi. That's about it, I think. Outside of, I don't think there are any more ongoings that I really want to mention, but if it comes up, I'll mention it. Anyways, we started off the year with a really great film, a really campy, kind of janky, in a really self-indulgent, I think self-aware way, a bit of a horror with fantastic set design and genuinely creepy atmosphere, Nosferatu. I saw this literally on New Year's Day of 2025. and it was fantastic from Robert Eggers, excuse me. It was great. I had a great time with it. There was also Squid Game this year. Now, season two, I quite liked. I liked a lot of the things they did with the premise. I think they varied it up really nicely. I think they explored directions that I wanted season one to explore, but it didn't quite have the time. And I really appreciated that. And Inho was such a fantastic character with such a great dynamic with I forget the main character's name, but with him. Um yeah, it was so fantastic. Season 2 specifically. It was, and let me rephrase that. It felt to me like the fantastic first half of a great season. However, season 3 pretty much dropped the ball completely and I didn't really like it at all. So there is that. However, season 2 is pretty cool. Season 3 not very good. But yeah, for any of these, if you want more thoughts or an alternate take or something, I probably said something different on my media thread. But I understandably, hopefully it's understandable that I'm not going to expand a ton on these. Maybe you could ask questions in the comments if you're curious, or in streams, something like that. But yeah. This year I also started trying out the Resident Evil series. So I finished 1, 2, 3, 4 of Resident Evil, all of them remakes. So the remaster and the 3 remakes. 2 and 4 were fantastic. 1 as well, actually. 1, 2, and 4 are all fantastic, near favorites. Great atmospheric horror and great environmental design in terms of the first Resident Evil, fantastic background art, and even 3. It's all just been a fun romp. 3 was a fun romp, rather, but the whole series has been tons of fun to discover and get into, and I've really, really enjoyed sort of discovering this franchise that's so special for a lot of people. I might have put a video out about it. I think I did. So yeah, Resident Evil 1 to 4, love Leon Kennedy, love the boss design. Resident Evil 2 and 4 are 2 of my favorite games to play. I really enjoyed playing them, so yeah. Also, a little game, a little known game in my circles, a few people I know have played it, but not many, is called 1000X Resist. 1000, literally the number, X Resist. An indie game, I believe, with, that might, I don't want to guess about where it's from, but I think I have an idea where it's from. I don't want to spread misinformation. Regardless, there were some little issues I had with it throughout, that just little niggles and problems that kind of, dragged the experience down a little bit, but it was a really, really fantastic piece of art that I really enjoyed, that had such a cohesive vision and really hit emotionally in a lot of ways, and it's such a unique work. So if you're looking for something a little bold and out there, and a little weird and abstract, worth giving a go. It's not very long either. I also caught up to the Trail series this year, so Cold Steel 4, I talked about it in a video. It's a very good game, but also incredibly frustrating and flawed. Very mixed bag that's, got many more positives than negatives, but has a lot of negatives, but still really like it. Trails into Reverie was utterly fantastic. One of my favorite in the series. Love what it does with a certain character. If you know, you know. There are some new characters that I particularly love, and I like what it does for tying a bow on the crossbow saga, if you want to call it that. So yeah, it was really good. Trails into Reverie was great. It's a favorite. Trails Through Daybreak, maybe even better. Love Von Archived, love the character cast. There are some in this cast that at first I saw them, I'm like, I don't know about this, and then I came to absolutely adore them. Judith, I didn't think I'd like her at all, because her introduction is kind of, Man, do I love her. She is she is such a, she's such a dork. She's so incredibly likable. I really, really love her. But there is the whole cast all around is really, really strong. Fantastic OST. My favorite setting to explore and just vibe in the Trails, franchise. Even if Crossbell might be a bit better in terms of thematic storytelling, and it's rivaled by Cold Steel 3. I think Daybreak has my favorite setting. And then there was Daybreak 2, which I did like a lot of things it did. I liked a lot of the things it expanded upon, but it was kind of a weird structure. I think the novelty that it plays with ran really thin, and overall it ended up being one of the weaker games in the franchise, but I still enjoyed it. I rewatched Nana. That's a long-running favorite, a long-standing favorite. It was just as good as I remembered. It hurt incredibly well, super angsty, great character work, great presentation. I do want to reread parts of the manga because I haven't read it in a long time. I'm caught up with the manga, but I haven't read it. But I rewatched the anime, and it was awesome. I checked out Severance. Severance was cool. It was a cool experience. It kind of took the world by storm. It was blowing up towards in season 2 as it was airing, and I quite enjoyed it. There are some things about it where I think it could be tighter and more efficient, and I don't know. I think it does a lot of fantastic, really great things with the premise and has great highs. I think the main thing with it with me is I don't find the character work to be great. I don't really find myself super attached to these characters. Maybe literally the season 2 finale is what gave me a bit of that, so I'm hoping that continues into the next season. But Severance is still really, really clever, really smart, super creative, horrifying. I consider it to be a bit of a horror. Really well acted, really well directed. All around a technically very good show. Not a favorite because I think there are little problems I have with it and little barriers to connecting with it, but yeah, it's still well worth checking out. If you're a fan of TV or film, honestly, it's well worth trying out. I rewatched Ping Pong the animation. I shouldn't have to say much about this. It's just as good as it's always been, maybe even better. It's one of my favorite series and has been for 7-8 years. I've made multiple videos about it. It was a great rewatch. Digimon. I rewatched Digimon, which I hadn't done in 10, 12 years at least, if not like 20. I remember when I was in university or end of high school, something like that. I gave it a bit of a rewatch a try, but I don't know if I did it fully, so that's why I'm saying that long. But if it wasn't then it wasn't it wasn't since I was like 10, 11 that I last watched it. And man, Digimon, specifically the first 3 seasons, stands up so well. It is the perfect kid show. I remember kind of feeling like, I don't know, like maybe it was a perfect kid show, but not a perfect adult show. I kind of didn't give it the benefit of the doubt in terms of standing the test of time. But man, does it stand the test of time. The characters are fantastic. Matt, Tai, their dynamic, and TK and Mimi, and some of the Digimon. Then season 2 with Ken and Davis and what it does with Oikawa, one of the most striking endings to an anime in recent times that I've seen. Incredible. And then Digimon Tamers, which does so many interesting things metatextually with the premise, great character work, super experimental, looks great, well directed, just super consistent. Digimon is great. It's awesome. I rewatched it and I'm so glad I did because, man, the trip down memory lane and also finding new things to appreciate about it. I swear, there's some children's media that just, you don't realize how good it is because you're a kid. And then you revisit it as an adult, and man, it's so good. Digimon's one of them. I caught up, I watched Blue Lock. I thought season 2 was definitely limited, but I think the highlights were really good, and I don't actually think it was quite as bad of an abomination of a series as people tend to say it was. But it was still limited for sure. But I really enjoyed season 2 despite that, and I caught up to the manga, and I think it's great. I think it's excellent. I made a video about it on my main channel, so you can check that out too. But yeah, I really liked Blue Lock. Lots of great characters. Does really interesting things. I understand why people don't like it who are football diehards, but I'm a football diehard, and anyways, I talk about it in my video on it in the main channel, if you're interested. I like Blue Lock a lot. So yeah, Reverie talked about that. Here's the big one. Bleach. I finished Bleach in the first few months, I believe late March of 2025, and that was one of the most important stories, biggest stories that I've experienced in the last few years, maybe ever. And man, Oh, if you couldn't tell, I've made so many videos about this already, and will make at least another after this video comes out. My latest upload was an Ichigo love letter. So, yeah, Bleach, I'm utterly transfixed with this story. It only ages because it's been 9 months since I finished it, but it only gets better and better with age. I return to these incredible panels and sequences, and the use of the medium so incredible. And I think about Aizen, and I think about Yuha, and I think about Ichigo, and Gin, and Shunsui, and Ginjo, and all the arcs, and how they correlate and bounce off of one another. And oh, it's just such a fantastic series that I so loved. Thank you everyone for being a part of my journey. And this includes Can't Fear Your Own World, the novels which I read in the weeks after finishing Bleach. This includes the anime. Yeah, I adore Bleach. I really love it, and can't wait for Core 4 down the line. Can't wait for maybe Hell Arc. We'll see. Yeah, there was stuff like Blue Box, which I thought was good. ReZero Season 3, which I just think I've lost some of the enjoyment I had with it with Season 1, and I've never quite got that back, but it's still good. Orb on the Movements of the Earth was a stunning anime. Similar in some ways, the people say this a lot, similar in some ways to Vinland Saga. I see it for sure. It's kind of directed in a similar way, but also a lot of the themes and a lot of the moments of pathos have a very Vinland-esque spirit. But it completely stands on its own, don't get me wrong, and there aren't a lot. There are so many differences as well. I think the star of the show is Kenjiro Suda's character. Sorry, my memory is failing me today. What's his name? He's one of my favorite antagonists of the year. His name is Novak. Sorry, I don't know. When I'm on camera, sometimes I just forget really obvious stuff. Novak, incredible character, great vignette of collective stories to get across his main theme, and it ends really strong. Orb, it was an instant hit with me. It became at least a light favorite, and I thought it was fantastic. Definitely one of the highlights of the year, especially in terms of anime manga. Then there was, yeah, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I made 4 videos on this immediately after finishing it. Now, let's get this out of the way. The discourse on this game is god-awful. It is horrific. I know many streamers who either are scared to stream it or are glad they didn't stream it, or who did stream it and found the experience miserable because people are just really weird about this game. People can be really weird about it. I don't know. If someone has a critique, people feel like they need to super crazy defend it all over the place. If someone has an interpretation that's different from them, people jump up, jump on their backs to validate their favorite character, and it gets very tribalistic. It's really weird. And then people also tend to downplay JRPGs in history and pretend like turn-based is completely dead when, do you guys know when, like Metaphor came out, Infinite Wealth, Yakuza lately, it's Octopath, So the discourse kind of sucks. However, this game is utterly deserving of all the praise it's gotten. It is fantastic in every regard. I do have problems with it. I could have used a mini-map. I could have used it, at least the option for it. I think that the game's ability to direct your attention isn't good enough to compensate. It isn't FromSoft level. It isn't good to compensate enough for no map, and it led to some confusion and issues and irritations for me. I would have just liked it to have a map. I know some people who would have as well. I get the idea for a lot of the old heads out there that I can relate to, because I'm a bit of an old head. I love the days when you didn't have maps and you just kind of had to, fend for yourself and write down notes, etc. I get that, but I think there's a bit of a reason that mini-maps became a thing, because if done well, if implemented well, they help you. They accentuate the experience, and they could always have added an option to get rid of it. Anyway, that's a tiny little rant. I wish it had a mini map. I have some issues with some of the level scaling a little bit. A couple of mechanics, but the narrative is mostly spotless. Maybe a couple of tiny issues. It's mostly spotless, though. I think the characters are incredible. I think it's so tight and efficient, and it gives each subject, it tackles a litany of subjects, but I think it tackles each topic in a minimalistic way, in a way that you can wring so much out of little tiny scenes or moments, and then it moves on, and then it tackles something else. And some may want the game to have expanded more and talked more, but to me it talks as much about these issues and topics and themes as it needs to get it across, sort of inspire the imagination and continue along its way. I think the pacing's fantastic. I think the bosses are some of my favorite in the medium. It's given me such pulsating moments. Verso is one of the best characters I've ever seen. Maybe if I had to find a single star of 2025, it would be him. I made a half-hour-long video on him immediately after finishing the game. If the star of 2025 isn't him, he's at least in the conversation for it. And the rest of the cast is fantastic. Renoir, unbelievable. You know, all the aspects of Renoir. I don't want to spoil anything. Mael is such an incredible character. I really loved Clea. I loved Gustav, Lune, Ciel, Monoko, and there's such richness and depth to things you can pick up on repeat plays or repeat watch throughs. Like Monoko has suddenly become one of the most tragic characters in the series for me, in the story for me, because of things that I discover on rewatch or replay. Lots of great dynamics, fantastic dynamics, one of the best OSTs ever, some of the best gameplay ever, one of my favorite worlds, looks fantastic. It's just everything I look for in a game is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And it's so bold. It's so bold and courageous with what it does, and it holds nothing back, and it's such a unfiltered work of art. It's boring to say, I know, but it's so good. It is so good. What else? Death Stranding. Finished Death Stranding for the first time. This was on stream. Great game. Really cool to see Kojima evolve a little bit from Metal Gear Solid, which I did a couple of years ago, and I'm still waiting for Volume 2, Master Collection Volume 2, so I can get on Metal Gear Solid 4 and onwards. But anyway, yeah, I think it's I think Death Stranding was fantastic. It led to some incredible peak moments, great streams, fantastic atmosphere, looks awesome. Yeah, it was just an all-around awesome game with tons of boldness and emotion all over the place. And very, like, one of the most atmospheric, therapeutic in some ways games ever, which is funny considering how lonely it can be at times, but there's a sort of comforting solitude to it. You know what I mean if you played it. It was great. Dragon Age: The Veilguard I played this year. It sucked. Andor, one of my favorite TV shows ever. And I finished Andor, and I'm like, yeah, that's one of the better TV shows I've seen. It's got some amazing individual episodes that I think are incredible. Some of the best in the medium. But overall, I finished it. I'm like, maybe it'll reach my top 100. Maybe it's a favorite. And then I rewatched it, and then I rewatched certain episodes and thought about it more. And the more I think of it, the better it gets. Andor is solidly one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. It's one, not that this matters too much for me with fiction, but it's worth noting. It's a series for which I most ideologically align with. It really captures a lot of my thoughts on the world, if that makes sense. It's up there with stuff like, well, a series I'll get to later in the video, and maybe something like Disco Elysium in certain ways, in terms of its politics and ideals and philosophy, and stuff like, I don't know. I won't get into a whole smorgasbord of stories that I ideologically align with, but it is maybe arguably the one I most identify with. But that would mean nothing if the story wasn't good, and the story is utterly fantastic. Cyril, Luthen, Cassian, all timers. Mon Mothma, I love her. Fantastically directed, so artful. By far my favorite Star Wars media, and such an eternally relevant story that I think I've seen people who love Star Wars love it. I've seen people who don't know anything about Star Wars love it. It's for everyone. Anyone who just loves a great drama, a great human story. Andor is utterly fantastic. I made a video about Andor too. The Last of Us Season 2, it kind of confused me. It wasn't good. It had some good stuff, but it wasn't good. Liza P. Overture, one of my favorite expansions ever, really sort of catapulted my love for Liza P. in general, reminded me of how much I loved playing it a couple of years ago. Yeah, Liza P. Overture is a fantastic emotional narrative, it's really fun to play, environmental design on point as you'd expect. It's one of my favorite expansions ever, I think in my top 5, along with stuff like The Witcher 3, and Bloodborne, and Cyberpunk. I'd actually put it ahead of Shadow of the Erdtree, just about. It was so good. So good. Uma Musume was lots of fun. Deltarune. Oh my gosh, we had a full stream series for Deltarune where every Friday night for a couple of months I would play some Chapter 3 or Chapter 4. It's one of my favorite stream series I've ever done, and Deltarune became from a series where I'm like, oh, it has the potential to be a favorite, to absolutely a favorite, and at this point, I think just due to the ambition and the scope and how much it reaches for, and so far has already succeeded in, and the sheer amount of moments that have given me chills, that made my hair stand on end, what it does metatextually, Chris as a character, by far my favorite Toby Fox character, Chris. But Susie, absolutely incredible too. Ralsei. There are so many characters. Tenna. Gerson, oh my god. So many battles that I was so enraptured with, so much metatextual storytelling, so much amazing use of the medium, and I just love this cast so much, and all that puts it ahead of Undertale just a bit. It's an easy comparison to make, because even though Undertale's comprehensive and the payoff is holistic and it is a better overall package because it's done, Deltarune just hits a bit harder for me. I connect with it a bit more. I think it does things that are a bit more ambitious and impressive, even if it hasn't paid them off yet. I have total and complete faith. There have been multiple scenes throughout Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 that were highlights of my year. Highlights of the last few years. The piano scene, oh my god. Deltarune, incredible. I've also rewatched Mad Men this year. I do this kind of every year or two. This is nothing new. I have nothing to say. Mad Men has been my favorite TV series for ages, and it continues to be. It's the best show I've ever seen. It has problems. It has, honestly, quite a few problems, but man, the worst Mad Men season is still a favorite. And I just cannot, there's something about it that just keeps me coming back into this world, this texture, these characters, their struggles, and how it reflects upon the modern day. It is so for me, and will always continue to be, and I'll always rewatch it, at least every couple of years. And I did this year. Still the best show I've ever seen. Vinland Saga finished this year. Yeah, it nailed the overall. I think the ending nailed in and was solid enough, and I think the Vinland arc is really, really impressive. It's a great return to form after a weaker arc, I think, from the previous arc, the Baltic Sea War arc, which really wasn't for me. I didn't think played to Vinland Saga's strengths. I didn't think it was very good. I think it was tonally all over the place. Wasn't a fan. It still was decent, but like way below the standard of Farmland and Prologue. The Vinland arc is a return to form, for sure. For sure, absolutely. But I think the ending kind of did a less is more thing, and I kind of wanted a bit more. So it ended in a way that was satisfying, but not with an exclamation mark, you know? Not with huge amounts of impact. I think the huge amounts of impact came in the chapter or two before that. But the actual ending, the final chapter, I did want a bit more from it, but it did nothing to, like, detract a lot from the series, and it's still one of my favorites. And overall, the last arc from Vinland Saga really reinvigorated my love for the series. So, Vinland Saga, an incredible series, and it ended this year. Can you believe all the stuff we got this year? My gosh. I checked out Doctor Who, season 1, the Eccleston season. Really cool, really iconic show. So it was cool to see where a lot of the love comes from. I really enjoyed it. I hope to continue in the future. Then I saw stuff like Takapi's Original Sin, pretty good. Again, you can check for more extensive thoughts on my anime list or this Twitter thread, which if you want it, just ask for it in the comments. I can link it, but it's just on my Twitter. It's pretty easy to find. I also finished JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7 Steel Ball Run. I made a full video about this. Maybe not when I was done, but you can check out the streams. They were fantastic. They're on my Patreon as well. The first JoJo that not only I could say I was a fan of thoroughly, but it became a favorite. By the time we reached a certain section, prior to the Diego bit, I was like, this is the best JoJo story. I love Johnny and Gyro. I love Diego. I think it's really well structured. It still has some JoJoisms that aren't super to my taste, but I think it uses them the best I've seen so far, and it puts together a story that really is to my taste and just full of quality. Full of quality. A lot of the arcs, A Real Man's World, Sugar Mountain, etc., the character exploration, the way the different journeys bounce off one another and progress, and the characters get fleshed out, just incredible. But we hit a certain point in the manga for JoJo's Part 7 where, my god, does it just elevate to otherworldly peak, and that doesn't stop till the end. It's just, I couldn't believe it. So the top four characters in JoJo's are like so evenly matched. Depending on the day, I could just have a completely different top four today than I could yesterday, with Funny Valentine, Johnny, Gyro, and Diego. I could have a different top four any given day of the week, but all of them are absolutely incredibly peak, and my four favorite characters in all of JoJo's. Others come kind of close, but this was special. And I was so grateful to be able to properly, finally fall in love with a JoJo's part, and it makes me want to go back and read the other parts, because I've only watched them, and I feel like part of the fabric of JoJo's is in the source material and the use of the medium. So I maybe like to go back and check out the other parts, and maybe I could like them more. But yeah, JoJo's Part 7, incredible. I also saw The Bear. I really, really liked it. I do think that it kind of gets worse in seasons 3 and 4. I think some more weaknesses start to show up. I got kind of annoyed with some of the approach at humor, but I still think it's good. Like, people talk about it, season 3 and 4, specifically 4, like it completely falls off a cliff and doesn't maintain any quality. I don't really agree. I still think it's still the same show. I just don't think I think it was best in season 1 and 2. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. And also, Richie, one of the highlights of my year, is coming to love him and understand him and see his journey. Love Richie. I finally played The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Didn't like it. Maybe the biggest disappointment I've ever had in gaming. Really not a fan. You can check out my review for it. I did a review for it on Backlogged. It's easy. You can just go on my profile on Backlogged and you can see it. You can also, just check there. There's a full review there. Really disappointing. And I hope future entries of Zelda take a different direction. But I also finished Metaphor ReFantasio after sort of a year of stalling on it. I streamed the whole thing. The VODs are there on YouTube. It was incredible. It was such a great game and did certain things with the gameplay that was really cool, because I think its gameplay system and Expedition 33's kind of bounce off one another in an interesting way, and are kind of similar but very different. And it was cool to compare and contrast at the same time, or close together. So yeah, I really really enjoyed it. It was a great journey. Specifically, Luis was such an incredible character, but the whole party was great. The whole cast was great. The story and the way it played around with certain things you'd expect from the Persona formula, but did it in a totally different context. The way it examines the beauty of stories and fantasy and JRPGs, just such a fantastic experience that I shared with some of you guys, and it was awesome. Um, yeah, I saw the Demon Slayer movie, Love Akaza, Love Akaza or Akaza, however you pronounce it. I saw Don season 2 was cool. Dress Up Darling actually surprised me with how much I really enjoyed it. I really liked season 2 a lot. The Summer Hikaru died. Um, One of my anime of the year for sure. Really, really awesome, layered, human, raw story with a fantastic dynamic that's really real and ugly and full of drama and emotions and ugly, selfish humanity, but very understandable at the same time, and just makes you like feel ugh in a really peak fiction sort of way, but also really well directed, great atmosphere, really scary at points, and a great setting, great small town, rural Japan setting. Loved it. Loved it. To Be Hero X, I checked out. Really easy binge, really fun, really enjoyed it. I think it sort of peaks at the beginning, the first couple of arcs, and maybe at the end, and the middle is not quite as strong, but it's strong enough to keep, keep things impactful, to keep me binging. Really, really enjoyed it. Silent Hill F. I have a review about this as well, but I really enjoyed it. Really, really liked a lot of the things they did. I think it has some key limitations that stop it from being like a masterpiece and a strong favorite or anything like that. But I really like a lot of the things it does. My first run of the story was magical, genuinely scary for me. I know some people don't think it's that scary. I thought it was. Really great atmosphere. Again, small town, rural Japan in the 1960s. I could just soak in the atmosphere. I loved it. Um, so very flawed, I think, in some ways, but also the positives far outweigh the negatives, and I'm really glad that this game exists. And the patch they did really helped with some of the negatives, so credit for that. Um, I finished Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, which was a really interesting game that did a lot of fun things that I really enjoyed for Majima, and one of the best endings to a Yakuza game, one of the most abstract, thematically bold, and emotional endings. It was crazy. The last stream of this was unreal. All around, very enjoyable game, very enjoyable experience. Really, really liked it. One Battle After Another, one of my favorite films ever, even though I just saw it a few months ago. One Battle After Another, the best filmed for me of 2025. I haven't seen a ton, but I've seen a few. Um, the best film for me of 2025 and one of my favorites ever. Maybe, competing for my top 5 or 6 or so. It was so good. I loved it. I actually want to rewatch it soon because it's available digitally or maybe on Blu-ray now. I don't know, but I want to rewatch it. Um, Really liked The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. Probably my second favorite of that season, along with second to The Summer Hikaru Died. And then one which I've been actually sort of chronicling on this channel, The Wire. I won't say a lot about it because there are 3 videos about me sort of in a podcasty way talking about The Wire and its characters and the seasons and my experience with it. But after reflecting on it over the past few weeks after finishing it, um, it's aged incredibly well. I know it's short term, but it's aged really well. It's sat with me really well. It's only gotten better in my mind, and I have no doubt that it's one of my favorite TV shows ever, and definitely will have a strong showing in the upcoming top 100s for 2026. The Wire, I'm so glad I finally got to it because it is a true masterpiece. And even the criticisms that people have for it, for season 5 specifically, I just don't agree with most of them. And the flaws it has are so few and far between throughout the series. It's just such a consistent work of art that's one of the most important. And I talked about stories that I lean with politically. The Wire is one that I really, along with Andor, I really find a lot of my own ideals within. Um, Masterpiece. This year, we also had a re-release through the Ivalice Chronicles version of Final Fantasy Tactics. I've always really liked Final Fantasy Tactics. It's always been a borderline favorite. This made it a favorite. It's a great remaster. And remake rather. I do wish that it captured some of the had some of the scenes that were lost from the War of the Lions version, but not a huge deal. Those will always be there. They'll be on YouTube. They'll be on the other versions. And it does great things for the gameplay, the story, the Chronicle feature where it sort of sums up a lot of the characters and the story beats for you to sort of recap. And because the story can be kind of dense at times, so you can kind of lose yourself a little bit amongst it. So I really like that there's a feature where you can just read up on what's been happening in case you take a week off and you want to just refresh the story, or maybe you miss something in the story and you want to re-watch a scene. It lets you do that. So great quality of life features. The gameplay's polished up. There's difficulty options. Great stuff. It's just all around a great remake, and it made me properly love this game where I had a bit of a barrier for it before due to some problems with the gameplay. And it's got some of the best dialogue out there. Excuse me, sorry. Getting towards the tail end of the year, but one of the absolute highlights was the Chainsaw Man movie, the Reze arc, the Bomb Girl arc. This movie, my god, I always liked the Bomb Girl arc, the Reze arc. I always really liked Reze. I like the relationship between her and Denji. I like what it did for the story as a whole. But man, they unlocked something with their relationship through the music, the visual direction, the voice acting, Jane Doe and Iris out, bookending this wonderful movie. And they just unlocked something within it and saw something in this arc that I'd never really felt upon reading. But man, I'm so glad they did this in this way, because wow, is it special, this movie. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it, how much I was emotionally connected to it, how much it elevated it for me. It kind of reinvigorated my love for Chainsaw Man Part 1. And I am so thankful for that. Now I can't wait to see the rest of the adaptation. I love Season 1. I absolutely adore Season 1. And I was afraid that further adaptations would go too much in the other direction and lose some of the beauty, in my opinion, of Season 1. I know it's not to everyone's taste. It is to mine. But it not only kept a lot of what I love about Season 1, but mostly it kind of altered that and made it a bit more over the top and chaotic and eclectic in the way that people kind of wanted from a Chainsaw Man adaptation, while maintaining a lot of what I liked about Season 1. It's just a fantastic movie, and I can't wait for more from this adaptation, and I hope my love for Part 1 continues to grow. I also got into Alan Wake, the Remedyverse in general this year. Alan Wake, the associated DLCs, American Nightmare, and Control, and I'm going to get to Alan Wake 2 next year, so 2026. Not too long from now. I want to do it pretty decently soon. But it was lots of fun. It's not a favorite or anything, but I think it lays the foundations for Alan Wake 2 to maybe be a favorite. Really like the setting, the meta storytelling, the creativity, and what it says about the artist's process and stories in general and creation in general, and the psychology of Alan. Really good stuff. Really enjoyable. Like I said, it has some limitations, but I thought it was a very good foundation, and I think Alan Wake 2, could, if it builds off them in the way I think it can, could end up being a favorite and a strong one at that. We'll see. I saw K-pop Demon Hunters, which a lot of people really, really love. It's become a bit of a classic, a bit of a hit. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I saw Challengers. Good movie. I finished Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. I have a lot of conflicting thoughts about it. It was disappointing in quite a few ways, but I love the ambition and ideas in certain ways. Ultimately, I found myself kind of overall disappointed and critical of it in comparison to prior entries, but it does a lot of things that I think I love the thought for, that are good in isolation or just needed a bit more fleshing out to properly get across. And so while it is disappointing, I guess, in comparison, I'm not too discouraged, and I still have hope for the future of the narrative of Final Fantasy XIV. And hey, if it crashes and burns, we had until the end of Endwalker, and that's a cohesive story in and of itself for me. But Dawn Trail, I really liked elements of it. I thought the gameplay was fun, the music was really good. Certain individual characters didn't really fulfill what they should have for me, but were still fascinating to think about. And yeah, it was definitely a really interesting playthrough. Tokyo Ghoul Part 1. I made a video about this as well, won't talk about it a lot, but man, one of the most rewarding stream experiences ever. Such a great first half or so of a story that I assumed would end, and I'd be like, yeah, that was a solid 8 out of 10. And then the final arc, the owl assassination. God, why am I forgetting arc names? Owl Suppression. Sorry, Owl Suppression. Arc. Oh my god, instant classic. Had me freaking out. That last stream, if you were there, oh my god, you know that was one of the best streams ever. Had me losing my mind with emotions 1 minute. I was all over the place. It was one of the most chaotic, crazy peak ends to an arc and a part of a story that I've ever seen. It hit everything for me. Insanity, reveals, drama, emotions, dark storytelling, traumatic stuff that had me having to take a break from stream because I was literally so upset at some things here. Really great foreshadowing and beautiful poetry in its presentation and dialogue. Really poetic stuff. You can see I have some volumes to my right here. And in the back as well. Yeah, Tokyo Ghoul, the first part of it, I became a huge fan by the end. It was so much fun, so full of emotion, so full of trauma, great use of the medium, great characters, Amon, Kaneki, Sota, my god, Toka, Juzo, just a fantastic, utterly fantastic, Arima cast. I could go on forever. It was such a great I guess, beginning to the story, and I cannot wait to get to Tokyo Ghoul Re next year. I'll quickly recap the stuff I'm really looking forward to next year at the end of this. That's one of them. I checked out The White Lotus, all the seasons of The White Lotus. It was very fun, very kind of weird and wacky and abstract, really entertaining. Enjoyed it. I saw the first 2 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 through the Execution movie, and my god, we are in for a treat with that. The direction is incredible. It looks so good. It's directed so well. I feel like it captures a lot of, already just through the first 2 episodes I saw, it captures a lot of what I wanted to feel, what I wanted to make me feel through the Culling games, and I feel like we're in for potentially an all-time shonen arc adaptation. I re-experienced through rewatches Xenoblade 2 and 3. I didn't replay it just because of time, but I reacquainted myself with the story through watching playthroughs with my mom, actually. Just sort of the cutscene movies to recap the story. This isn't, a replay or anything, so it's a bit different, but I do think this is worth noting because throughout the year, I really felt like I need to recalibrate and refresh my feelings on Xenoblade 2 and 3, and I did. And they were very valuable re-experiences of the story. Of course, again, not replays. The gameplay side of things isn't relevant here because I didn't really feel like I wanted to replay them. My thoughts on the gameplay are pretty set in stone, but on the narrative, we're all over the place. And it was very valuable. I'm glad I did that. It really helped me kind of feel more sort of clarify and correct my feelings on both stories and understand where I think the strengths and weaknesses lie. It was really productive, and I was really glad to do it. My Hero Academia Season 8 finished this year, this past month. Really great adaptation, one of the better adaptations in the series. Did Bakugo, my goat, my favorite character in the series, justice. I also saw Sinners. Fantastic movie. Fantastic. Probably my second favorite of the year. I need to watch 100 Meters. But that's probably, it's it's the end of 2025 now, so I'm probably not going to watch it till tomorrow at least. Um, Pluribus, Pluribus, however you pronounce it. Uh, Overall, very decent show, solid show, with some problems, I think, with how substantial it can be in the micro, and some of the self-indulgence, I think, throughout, I have certain problems with. But it's so full of rich ideas, fantastic direction, great acting from Rhea Seehorn, just a richness all over the place, which allows me to sort of, for the problems I have with it, to not take away and not make it a positive experience. Really looking forward to season 2. And then, yeah, I saw Dexter Resurrection. That was lots of fun. I played the first chapter of Trails Remake. That was a pretty good remake. I saw There Will Be Blood. Fantastic film. I saw that a couple days ago. And I ended with No Country for Old Men. I literally saw that last night. Both were rewatches, but it's been like 15 years since I saw them, so I didn't remember a thing about them. And then the last thing to talk about, I think, is Chrono Cross. I finished this actually a few days ago and just didn't log it until yesterday. But my God, Chrono Cross is so interesting. It's got so many issues and so many problems, and I think there are lots of elements that didn't really mix with one another. There isn't a lot of there's some cohesion problems with regards to the structure of the story and the way that the way that the gameplay, certain gameplay elements interact with the story. And it can be bloated, and it can be unfocused, and the pacing can be really, like, it can be really thin in places, and the character work can be really uneven. It has lots of problems, but my gosh, when it gets to the core messages, and the big story moments, and the little lines that encapsulate so much, and the music, and the vibes, and the art, the strengths of Chrono Cross are out of this world. And luckily for me, the positives far outweigh the negatives, and now that the problems with the experience side of things are done, the positives have really, in the past few days, sat with me, and I find myself just drifting back to thoughts about it consistently. It's been a total, such a great experience. It's been so, and this is a classic, you know, it's a retro sort of JRPG. I think it came out late 90s, early 2000s, maybe 2000 on the dot. As a sequel, there were a lot of little things with the production. It wasn't necessarily planned to be a sequel to Chrono Trigger. Then it got that, which leads to some weird things with the story and how it connects to Chrono Trigger. It's weird, but it is one of those sort of cult classics. And as a JRPG lover, as a video game, like, it's my favorite medium. I love all things video game. I try to explore the medium as much as I can. I felt like there are two games I really wanted to play that are classics, that are very divisive in certain ways, but are known to be sort of creative tour de forces that are very divisive and that are nonetheless ones any video game lover should try out. Xenogears, which I hope to get to one day. Maybe a remake, maybe if a remake were to be announced, that would give me the push I need. But Xenogears and Chrono Cross. And I finally got to Chrono Cross, and man, is it sticking with me. I feel like this story means a lot to me. I really think it does, despite a lot of problems. And it was a great way to end the year. It was a great way. So going forward, there are so many things I'm excited for. Down the line, there's stuff beyond 2026 that I can't wait for. Final Fantasy VII Re-Trilogy is Part 3 is literally the piece of work I'm most looking forward to in my life. I think it's fair to say. So I can't wait for that, but that won't be next year. Haikyuu, the rest of Haikyuu's adaptation. Future Hunter x Hunter chapters. It would be great if they came out in 2026. I think that's semi-realistic, but we'll see. So there's always stuff like that, of course, and ongoings. But in terms of things that I know for certain, I'll get to in 2026, there's also stuff like checking out potentially Golden Kamui or JoJo's Part 8. But a lot of things need to line up for me to check those out next year, so it's not for certain. Persona 3 Reload, stuff like that. Maybe the Devil May Cry series, more Ace Attorney, stuff like that. But that's not certain. What is certain, though, is finishing Red Dead Redemption 2 I don't know if you can see the hat. Excuse me, the hat over here. I've been playing that. I've done a bunch of streams now over a couple of months. This is a bona fide AJ favorite in the making. And I'm not even halfway through in terms of percentage. I'm like 43% or so. I cannot wait for more. It really, if it sticks the landing, if the character work comes through well, if it continues being what it's being, yeah, this is a strong favorite for sure. So there's Red Dead Redemption 2, Gachiakuta, actually. This anime, Gachiakuta, I started it a little while ago, a few days ago. And I'm 10 or 11 episodes in. So I'll finish it in the next few days, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm really enjoying it. And so that's something for 2026 that I'll finish in the first little bit of 2026 that I'm really excited to finish. Trails Beyond the Horizon, the new Trails game, comes out next month. Cannot wait for that. Dragon Ball. We're currently streaming Dragon Ball, and we're going to finish that. And it's been so much fun so far, so can't wait to finish that. And yeah, more ongoings, like I said. I made a tweet about this. Let me see what else, which ones I said. Yeah, anime adaptation. So JJK Season 3, like I said. Akane Banashi is getting a anime. Can't wait for that. JoJo's Part 7 anime. Bleach, Core, 1000 Year Blood War, Core 4. All those I'm really excited for. Shogun. I went on vacation, and on the ride back, I watched Shogun. The first 3 episodes of it. The Netflix, sorry, I think it's on Disney Plus or something. Either way, really, really enjoyed it. Cannot wait to check out more of it. And that's surely going to be done this year. Pretty soon, probably. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, I might check out. Heard some good things about it. Deltarune Chapter 5 is coming out this year. That might be, I cannot wait for that. I'm already in Deltarune withdrawal mode. So, yeah. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, Alan Wake 2. That's another one. Alan Wake 2, can't wait to check that out. I'm also, I don't love it, but I'm looking forward to seeing the One Piece live action continue as well. It's not on the level of excitement for, like, Alan Wake 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, the rest of it, like Shogun or something like that. But I do enjoy it. I do find the take to be really fun to talk about and examine and compare to the series. So yeah, and then last thing, we are doing this early this year. As soon as I finish Dragon Ball on stream, we are finishing Tokyo Ghoul, starting and finishing Tokyo Ghoul. So, yeah. Also, there's the new Resident Evil that's coming out, right? I forget what it's called. Requiem, I think? So, I'll probably play some more Resident Evil this year, which I'm really looking forward to. So, yeah. Anyways, this has been almost an hour. I didn't expect it to be that long. I thought it might be 25 minutes, but I talked a lot about my favorite experiences this year. Feel free to share yours. Feel free to talk about any of the stories I've talked about. It's been a fantastic year, like I said. And if you've, interacted with my content in any way, if you've, talked with me on Twitter, in the YouTube comments, seen my YouTube video essays this year, been to my streams, been in the Discord server, whatever. Thank you for contributing to it. Thank you for making it a really good one. And yeah, thank you. Keep being awesome. Have a happy and healthy start to 2026. And can't wait for some more Peak Fiction. Have a good one, guys.